Hello and welcome. You're with us here on Business Today. I'm Abha Bakaya. Here are the day's top stories. Air India puts a price tag of $70 billion on its mega order of 470 aircraft, says deliveries will begin this year and continue for the next 10 years. Hints at the Vistara brand being let go of after integration in the future. SpiceJet jumps 5% in trade after selling 7.5% stake to Carlyle Aviation Partners, restructures outstanding dues as equity shares, deal to clear $100 million in debt, airline to raise $25 billion via QIPs. Sensex and Nifty and lower again today for the 7th consecutive time. Markets fear more aggressive hikes by the US Fed to control prices and high consumption. Sensex down 176 points, Nifty down 73 points. Market cap of the Adani Group dips below 7 lakh crore rupees as sell-off continues. 9 of 10 stocks in the red today. Gautam Adani's net worth falls to $33 billion. Get ready for a week of the latest in the world of technology and mobile phones. Business Today TV's Ayush Alawadi to bring you the biggest updates from the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. Air India has revealed that its mega order of 470 aircraft will cost a whopping $70 billion. Addressing a press conference, its CEO Campbell Wilson said that the Tata-owned airline will be funding the deal with internal cash flows along with equity and sale and leaseback. Wilson also talked about the proposed Air India and Vistara merger and the future plans for the Maharaja.
The integration of Air India and Vistara needs to go through a regulatory approval process. There are 3 steps to that process. One is competition clearance. The second is from a DGCA regulatory aviation perspective. And the third is obviously the merger of the 2 companies. We are in the process of the first phase, seeking competition clearance. But in anticipation of this, we are working together with some external parties to work on what are the areas of opportunity in an integrated business, what are the things that we need to focus on in the process of that integration, and what would the end state look like once we have received clearance to actually embark on the integration process. The intention is to end up with 1 full-service airline and 1 low-cost airline in the group. The full-service airline will be an amalgam of Air India and Vistara, but we expect that many of the practices and systems will be those of Vistara, being a younger, privatized airline that has been able to imbibe the learnings that it brings from its other shareholders. We are not unaware of what they have in terms of systems and processes, and so over the course of the privatization process and the last year, a lot of the transformation that we've been doing at Air India has been with a view to put ourselves on a similar platform as Vistara, so that in the event the merger is approved, it's a much more seamless and faster process. I think there is certainly there's a desire to carry forward the heritage of both erstwhile Air India and Vistara into the new Air India. Quite the form in which that Vistara component takes, we're still working through. Vistara clearly has achieved a lot of success and very strong recognition and respect in the Indian market. But if you look outside the Indian market, clearly Air India is much more recognized and has a 90-year history. So we've communicated to staff that the future full-service carrier will be called Air India, but we would like to retain and celebrate some of the Vistara heritage in that new manifestation. If you take the firm aircraft and you take the numbers that are published on the manufacturer's website, it is around $70 billion US. The Maharaja is one of the many, many assets that Air India has as a consequence of its 90 years of history. It is clearly something that we would like to retain and something that we want to be part of the future Air India. We're still working through how exactly it might be involved and how it might be used. It is very well known and beloved in India and amongst the diaspora. It is not especially well known outside of that, and clearly we need to appeal to the broader market as well. So suffice it to say, it will be part of our future. Exactly how it will be part of the future, I think we'll let time tell. Look and feel might be. As I say, there's a long history of India that we want to respect and carry forward. There's also staff that we would like to include some heritage of. And so there is the new India. We need to be a forward-looking airline, a forward-looking business that respects the past, but also looks at the future too. We're going to be proudly Indian. We're going to proudly represent India. And so I think as we transform this airline from top to bottom, we also consider the brand transformation and how we represent it on the world stage. So work in progress. So there are 3 phases involved in this. The third and final phase is the new aircraft purchase, so I won't cover that. We've already talked about it. The immediate phase has been replacement of seats, curtains, carpet, seat cushions, fixing the seats that have been broken, fixing the in-flight entertainment systems that are not working. And that is, in some respects, nearly complete. Seats, curtains, cushions is nearly complete. That will finish probably in May. Getting the business class in-flight entertainment back up and running is basically complete. And repairing the seats is still work in progress. So it's fair to say that we've made good strides from where we were, but we're not quite where we would like to be. During the course of this year, we'll be able to complete that process, hopefully by the middle of the year. In parallel, we've leased in a number of aircraft. You've already seen 5 formerly Delta 777s leased in. They've got essentially a brand new product. And we have 6 A350s coming in later this year with also a brand new product. The refurbishment of our existing wide-body aircraft, which is the complete replacement of all of the seats and all of the in-flight entertainment system and replacement with brand new latest generation product, the process is already kicked off. We have committed $400 million to that, and the engineering and regulatory work is well underway. That needs to be followed by the production of these new seats, and we should see the first aircraft enter service June, July of 2024. Clearly, we would like to accelerate that process as fast as possible, but it is as fast as we can do it. There's a regulatory, engineering, and physical manufacture sort of time or constraints that we literally can't work around. But I can say with quite a lot of confidence that by the second half of 2024, with these new aircraft and with the refurbishment of aircraft, it will be a very, very different experience when you fly Air India wide-body.
SpiceJet has agreed to convert its outstanding dues to equity for one of its biggest lessors, Carlyle Aviation. SpiceJet will now transfer around 7.5% equity to Carlyle Aviation. The debt-equity swap is expected to be worth $29.5 million. The company has also decided to raise fresh capital of up to 2,500 crore rupees via qualified institutional placement. My colleague Karishma Sudani joins us with more details.
SpiceJet Limited will transfer its cargo business undertaking on a slump basis to its subsidiary Spice Express and Logistics Private Limited. In fact, the company said this in a BSE filing this morning. The airline said that the transfer of cargo business undertaking shall be discharged by Spice Express and Logistics by the issuance of securities in the combination of equity shares and CCDs, which is the convertible debentures, for an aggregate amount of rupees 2,555 crore. In fact, the company also announced restructuring of over $100 million outstanding dues to aircraft leasing firm Carlyle Aviation Partners into equity shares and compulsorily convertible debentures, which is the C series. The board of directors SpiceJet Limited also approved issuing fresh equity shares of $29 million to Carlyle Aviation Partners. Following this, now this transaction, Carlyle Aviation Partners will have over 7.5% equity stake in SpiceJet Limited. In fact, Carlyle Aviation Partners, as you know, is a very known commercial aviation investment and servicing arm. In fact, not just this, one key announcement by SpiceJet is that they've also agreed to seek approval from board members of the company to raise fresh capital of close to 2,500 crore through the issuance of eligible securities to institutional buyers.
GDP growth estimates for the October to December quarter as to be announced tomorrow evening. A Business Today TV poll shows more than half the respondents predicting 4.8% growth in the economy. What's certain, though, is the fact that the Indian economy will slow down considerably in the third quarter of the financial year as compared to the 6.3% growth registered in July to September. My colleague Sakshi Batra spoke to Madhvi Arora, lead economist, MK Global, and Yuvika Singhal, economist, Quantico, about expectations. Here's an excerpt.
So I think this time around we are seeing industry GVA to have moved back into expansionary trajectory, somewhere close to around 3.5% kind of number that you should see, as against a contraction of 0.8% last quarter on a Y-on-Y basis. I think services continue to remain a leader in terms of its contribution to growth and in terms of its absolute YOY numbers versus other sectors. But again, that is still going to be relatively slower than what we saw in the previous quarter. That said, of course, the sector is still enjoying the full impact of reopening, and I think will continue to remain above 6% in the coming 2 quarters as well. Agriculture, I think, should be somewhere in the league of 2.5 to 3.5% in the second half of the fiscal year. But the good part is that industry, would come back into the positive territory. Of course, a part of it is owing to the fact that the input costs this time around were lower, as Yuvika was mentioning, that on a sequential basis, things obviously, are better than what they were a quarter ago, partly on account of much better corporate value add that we saw in this quarter. But of course, because of the base effect, things are looking a little nasty. And as it probably would look to be a relatively slower, annualized momentum, but on a sequential basis, I think industry is one sector which has sort of made a comeback.
Okay. Yuvika, to take the point that Madhvi has also just spoken about, and also to take her point which she mentioned in her earlier answers as well, we do expect the NSO to revise the FY 2021 and FY 22 numbers as well. So will the base effect itself change this time, and what can one expect here? If that changes, then in light of that, the 5% growth that you're expecting?
Honestly, Sakshi, that's anybody's guess, and as economists, it's very hard to predict which way the revisions will be. So I would not hazard a guess there. But I think to add what Madhvi said, I think yes, services will once again be the growth underpinning for this quarter. We have to remember that the industry sector, and within that manufacturing in particular, we do expect a swing from a contraction to a positive growth number for Q3 vis-a-vis Q2. And we also have to remember that this quarter, there were 2 opposing forces. On one side, industry did benefit from softening of commodities materially, which actually had worked against them up till Q2. But on the other hand, this was also the quarter when we saw export growth momentum slow down. And if you split the export basket and actually see where the export momentum slowed, it was largely single-handedly driven by manufacturing exports, whereas services exports still continue to do fairly good. And also the primary, which is the agri side of exports, have also held fairly well so far in the fiscal year. So the slowdown that we have seen in the India's exports has largely been manufacturing, and that could also keep the recovery in the manufacturing sector.
Sensex Nifty ending the day after a very volatile session on a weaker note, with fresh buying interest in real estate stocks somewhat offsetting the weakness in metal and IT names today. The Nifty was down 0.4%, closing at 17,400. Sensex down 175 points. Broader markets plunged close to 0.7% and 1.12% in fact on the small cap index. So continuing to see or bear the brunt of the selling pressure there. ICICI Bank, Power Grid, Kotak Mahindra Bank, HDFC Life and SBI, some of the top movers today on the Nifty. Meanwhile, Adani Enterprises, Bajaj Auto, UPL, Tata Steel and Infosys, some of the top laggards in trade. Gautam Adani, the worst hit billionaire this year. As per the Bloomberg billionaire list, the Hindenburg report has robbed Adani of more than $80 billion in 2023. However, he is not the only Indian to have lost heavily this year. Mukesh Ambani and Radhakrishnan Damani have also seen their wealth eroded. Let's take a look.
More than a month after being struck by the Hindenburg report, the Adani Group continues to sink. For the first time, the group's market capitalization fell below the 7 lakh crore rupee mark today. An erosion of a massive 12.4 lakh crore rupees since 25th of January. 9 of the 10 group companies were in the red today, wiping out 34,000 crore rupees of investor wealth. Only Adani Ports was in the green, with 6 of the other group companies hitting the lower circuit. The bottomless fall has lowered the stock of Chairman Gautam Adani as well, who was at one time late last year vying for the first position in the World Rich list. According to the Bloomberg Billionaires list, Gautam Adani has fallen to the 30th position with a net worth of below $40 billion. The Forbes Real-Time Rich list puts him in the 37th position with a net worth of below $34 billion. Interestingly, Gautam Adani is not the only Indian billionaire to have lost wealth. The list also has Reliance Industries chairman Mukesh Ambani, who has seen a $5.38 billion erosion in notional wealth, and Avenue Supermarts owner Radhakrishnan Damani, who has lost $2.67 billion in fortunes this year. The latest figures put Ambani's wealth at nearly $82 billion and Damani's worth at $16.7 billion. In the case of Mukesh Ambani, shares of flagship Reliance Industries have fallen 7.35% so far this year against a 2.79% drop in the BSE Sensex. Other group companies like RIIL, Den Networks, Hathway Cable and Datacom, Just Dial and Network 18 are other listed group stocks that are in the red this year. The super reclusive Radhakrishnan Damani has seen his flagship Avenue Supermarts fall more than 14% this year. The Damani family owned 74.99% stake in Avenue Supermarts as of 31st December. His other holdings in VST Industries, India Cements, Trent and Sundaram Finance are down as well. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
More than 80,000 people are expected to attend this year's Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, with the world's largest telecom conference playing host to tech executives, innovators and regulators. Mobile handset makers who shied away from launching new products amid the COVID-19 pandemic are back with firms like Samsung, Huawei, Xiaomi, all unveiling new products this year. For the entire week, Business Today TV will bring you the latest updates, news and launches. For now, we have BTTV's Ayush Alewadi live from Barcelona telling us what to expect.
Well, the weather is certainly chilly here in Barcelona. In fact, it snowed here on day one of the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, something that doesn't usually happen during these days. But this is MWC. It's back, and it's back with a bang. In fact, last year it was subdued, obviously, due to the pandemic. Before that, it was postponed and cancelled. But we expected this to be, well, not as grand and extravagant as it has been. Absolutely massive. This is genuinely the biggest, the latest and greatest in tech, all under one massive roof here in Barcelona. Of course, several themes here at MWC. 5G is, well, a theme from the previous years. 6G is being spoken about. And of course, with what's happening with ChatGPT, a lot of the stalls over here are talking about generative AI. And a lot of companies seem to want to really claim ownership of that space, because they're saying that we have solutions in the generative AI space, be it from image, from text. There's all sorts of things happening here at MWC. Of course, there's also smartphone launches. This one being the Xiaomi 13 Pro, something we've been waiting for a long time on Tech Today, actually has a Leica lens on it. Those cameras cost nearly $20,000. You're getting that now on a smartphone. OnePlus has announced a phone with liquid cooling tech. That's a concept phone. These guys also have another concept phone where they have a massive lens attached to it on a 1-inch sensor. And that's not all. There's a 240-watt fast-charging Realme smartphone being announced as well, and all sorts of announcements in the AR, VR, and metaverse space. We thought it would be muted, given that, a lot of these brands haven't really shown up over here over the past couple of years for obvious reasons, but they're back and back with a bang. A huge participation from China, over 150 exhibitors, because restrictions have eased and everyone seems to be keen to come and explore the European markets as well. So much happening on the geopolitical front, and that's why we see increased involvement over here. 80,000 attendees, 2,000 exhibitors here at Mobile World Congress Barcelona 2023. Tech Today is going to be here on day 1, day 2, day 3. We're going to be exploring exactly what's happening at the most influential tech event of the year, so stay tuned.
The Advertising Standards Council of India has kicked off its Brand Influencer Summit in Mumbai. ASCI once again is strengthening its stand regarding guidelines for influencers. Remember, ASCI a little over a year ago launched stringent policies in the wake of rising influence of social media content creators. My colleague Rashna Dandrajani caught up with ASCI's CEO Manisha Kapoor on the sideline of the event and started out by asking her about the changes in the advertising industry.
So I think in general there is obviously much more digital advertising happening, and the platforms are becoming more active and influencers are becoming more active, because we do feel that this is going to shape advertising in the future in a very big way. So more than I would say, has it gone up or down, because the guidelines are very recent. I think what we can say is that just at an anecdotal basis, we are seeing a lot more influencers who are compliant. We are seeing the hashtags being used. We are seeing the paid partnership tags being used. So I think that's a great step, and we are definitely seeing more platforms also bringing in disclosure labels, so that there is a native way to kind of disclose your material connection. So I think influencers are taking this whole thing, I feel, in a really good way, in a very positive way, and using disclosure, not with any kind of pressure, but I think as a voluntary choice that they are making, and I think that is really great news.
Absolutely. Like you said, there's been a rise in digital ads. Digital influencing marketing is the newest thing on the block. Where do you think this will go? Will it take over the revenue, the ad spends that we saw for TV ads? Will digital advertising be the biggest advertising field in ad?
If you see the growth that it has, I mean, it's already kind of inching towards television growth. So television still remains the largest, but digital is now a close second. And the rate of growth of digital is definitely higher. So I think, I think all media will continue to grow. So it's not as if, that you will actually see a decline in any particular medium. But yes, I think just in terms of percentage split, I feel that digital is likely to take over television in the next few years.
That's where we leave it on the show tonight. Thanks so much for watching.